Hey everybody, here is how to use Spine in 2026. This is going to be a very comprehensive video. At a high level, we're going to run through Spine, starting with creating a canvas and then prompting Spine to dispatch AI agents. But we're going to get into the nitty gritty, and I'm going to show you little tips and tricks here and there of things that maybe you didn't know you could do in Spine. Without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm just going to create a new canvas here. So now we are on a blank canvas. You can see in here, it is completely empty. You don't need to touch this. Okay, I'd actually encourage for your first time using Spine, don't touch the canvas at all. You can, but instead we are going to use the chat area. So over here in the chat window, this is where you can communicate with AI agents and have them do complex tasks. Let's go ahead and jump in. We have plan mode toggled off. So what plan mode is when it's toggled on is it means that the agents are going to work with you to plan and ask you questions so that they fully understand your prompt. So plan mode is on, agents are going to work with me and ask questions. When this is off, the agents are just going to take your prompt, take all of the information that you sent them, and do the best that they can. So being on plan mode may prevent the agents from going out and working towards something that really wasn't what you intended. Having plan mode off gives the agents basically full freedom to interpret your prompt however they do. We're going to have plan mode on here. So Spine is super powerful. Okay, the agents, they can surf the web, they can create artifacts, they can make presentations, they can code prototypes, they can generate images, docx reports, spreadsheets, and they all work together to accomplish these tasks. So the task I'm going to give Spine here is going to be a mix of web research, reporting, putting together a presentation. So a great use case of Spine: analyze the global tech sector in the past 7 days using news, earnings reports, and market data. Identify what has materially changed, which companies are gaining or losing momentum, and why. So then we're just going to hit this button here, and that prompt is going to go to Spine. So now what Spine is doing is it's looking at your prompt. It might do some web research, just work to get a better understanding of the task at hand. So see, it's analyzing the tech sector over the past week, researching recent news based on the research. Okay, so Spine went ahead and came up with a quick brief analysis based off of some of the web research here, and then now it's going to put together a detailed report with data, visualizations, key metrics. So Spine didn't ask me any clarifying questions, which means it was fairly confident in my prompt, but I could go ahead and prompt here if I didn't like some of this content that it gave me. So I could add another prompt and ask it to maybe be a little more specific or pick certain companies that it didn't include. In this case, this is going to be just fine. These are all big companies that I do want to look at the earnings data, the market movement, their different announcements. So let's go ahead and just hit start task. Hitting start task is going to actually dispatch the agents onto the canvas. So while the canvas is blank, we're going to start seeing the agents work onto the canvas to do research, put together their findings, create documents. So let's just watch that happen, and I will explain, I guess, what's happening as that goes. However, if you don't care about the canvas or you don't have the time to wait here and watch what's happening because this task might take a while, then don't worry, you will get an email notification later telling you when the agents are finished. So at this moment, I could step away from my computer, I could close this tab, these agents are going to work in the background, and then you're going to get an email. So now we do have agents on the canvas, and they're conducting work in parallel. So this is the semiconductor and infrastructure researcher, it's kind of a mouthful, and we have the cloud software and market structure researcher. If I click details here, I'm going to see more details just of what the agents are doing, and you can see this cloud agent is conducting research, doing an Oracle deep dive, doing all this in parallel. And then down here, we have the semiconductor and infrastructure researcher. And so in this panel, we can see exactly what the agents are doing, and I can actually click and look on an agent level at the different tasks. So we have the semiconductor and infrastructure researcher. They are working on NVIDIA research, looking at Micron, looking at broader research and partnerships. And then we have this other agent right here, looking at, again, Oracle, Adobe, the different sectors, and putting together that research all in front of you. Now this third agent, which you can see here, or you can see here, this synthesis, analysis, and report builder, this agent is waiting for these two agents to complete their work. Once these agents complete all their work, they're going to create a handoff note, and that's going to go to this agent. So again, this is all kind of overkill. This is all just technical background stuff that you may or may not need to know, but this is just to help you understand what's happening in Spine. I'm just going to click back to tasks. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and then I'm going to come back when the agents have made some significant progress. Okay, so a few minutes later, these two agents are complete. Just want to note, so these blue boxes, that is one agent's work. Everything inside of this blue box here is a semiconductor and infrastructure researcher. Everything in this blue box here is the cloud software and market structure researcher's work. They've passed on their work, and now the synthesis, analysis, and report building agent is working to generate a table. Okay, all the agents are complete with their work. We can see it all on this canvas. I'm going to guess that these are the deliverables, but let's just look here in the chat window. It should give you a full summary of deliverables. So it's saying, here's what was produced for you March 10th through 17th. Today is the 17th. It's a 9-section Word document covering the full narrative. Let's go ahead and open that. And so what we get here is a full 22-page report on the market right now. And it's very, very detailed. So this might be too detailed. Maybe I don't want to go through and read this. Well, another deliverable that the agents gave us is a tech sector dashboard. So this is coded. You can open it up and it's giving us complete data from this week. So if you look here, we can see what tech companies are winning. So we've got SanDisk, Micron, Nebius, Oracle, Broadcom, and NVIDIA. And then what is losing? So Amazon, Adobe took a huge hit. That is really interesting. Microsoft. Let's go ahead and go down here. Stock performance for each of the companies in a different form. Looks like it's the longest small cap outperformance streak since 2008. That's really interesting. And then a momentum scorecard, essentially which companies you should invest in, a timeline this week of events that occurred. Cool. And I think it created this image just to help it build a mood board so that when it coded the prototype, it would get all the colors right. Then it looks like they created a table that we can look at. This table, let's see, we've got the company, we got the performance this week, year to date. Now there's more that you can do to this. We have an interactive canvas. So if any steps along the way you're unhappy with, let's say I'm unhappy with the agent's work here, I can just click on agent name. And you can see they popped up here, and I can prompt Spine to do something different. Maybe I say change this agent's work or add a certain competitor. I can, as a whole, do the same thing. I can say add a certain competitor to this analysis. Maybe you missed one. I can also go down block level. So this prototype here, or this report, we can change those at a block level by just clicking on them and then prompting Spine to make those changes. Additionally, if you click on any block, you can see these plus arrows on both sides. So that gives you full manual control to do whatever you want. So let's say I want to add here, and we've got a lot of different blocks that we can add. So maybe I want to add another prompt and I want to ask a question. What companies should I invest in? And we can just hit run. And now this prompt block is going to produce an answer. The reason why I drew an arrow from this block to this block is because I'm specifying what context is getting passed from block to block. So had I not drawn this arrow and done this, this block would not have had any context from this. It would have most likely not been able to answer your question. So by drawing arrows, you're passing context and information from block to block. And you can draw arrows from as many blocks as you want. So I can also draw an arrow from this one, and I can even come in and I can redo this by hitting the edit block, hitting rerun, and now it's got context from both blocks here. Additionally, I can go ahead and highlight maybe these two blocks. And let's add, let's make a slideshow. So I can say, create a slide presentation of these results. Something very simple. We can change theme. Cool. We'll hit generate. And so that's going to begin. Here you can see tasks at a glance, and you can see what deliverables have been created at a glance. So you can click around on these and it's going to take you to those deliverables on the canvas. There's a lot of different ways that you can find deliverables. So we'll zoom in over here. So we can see that this was able to take context from the dashboard and the report. And now it's answering the prompt that I put in here. Okay, slideshow's done here. We can just click through. We can see it took context from the document and took context from the prototype. And it looks pretty good. The last thing I want to show you guys is a new feature that we just released, which is scheduling. So I'm going to go here, go back to home, and then I'm going to go down to the scheduler. So this is the scheduler. You can hit new schedule and we can go ahead and give it a name. Let's say tech sector report. And then we're just going to add a prompt. So I'll just copy and paste the last prompt that I used, which was to analyze the global tech sector. And then I'm going to say I want this weekly on Mondays at 9. And then it's going to go to my email. So I'm just going to hit create schedule. So pretty simple, but extremely powerful in the fact that every single week I can get that exact report that I showed you guys coming to my inbox. So every week at the time that you ask, they are going to run on a schedule. So they're going to do the exact same thing, but on a frequency. So they're going to run this prompt that I put in here every single week. And then I'm going to get a report in my inbox. And then I will be able to just check at a glance, look at something like this and see exactly what has happened in the past week. Super powerful automation. If there's anything that you're doing on a weekly basis, like just trying to keep up with different trends, understand changes in the market, look at your competitors, run some data analytics on your own company, or anything else that you can imagine, you can do that with Spine. So all of that said, you guys should be good to go with Spine. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. There's a support email down in the description. Have fun and please share with us what you guys do with Spine.